Hey, what's going on YouTube? Alabama Reloader here. So coming to you today, just a quick update video on the Nosler 175 grain Accubond long range bullets that was sent to me by Mark. So huge shout out to him, MCK, over at his YouTube channel. Go subscribe, check his content out. Really appreciate him sending those over. He had placed an order for something else with American Reloading, and he tried to order some other bullets, and they actually sent him that pack. And they're pulled bullets, and he reached out and was like, "Hey, I just want to send these to you, see if you can use them," which of course I can, and I'm extremely appreciative of him sending those along. And one of the first things I wanted to do was see how they would shoot in the Remington 770 that I have, chambered in 7 rim mag. So if you guys have been following along, you know that so far that rifle is punching way above its price tag in terms of accuracy with the Nosler 150 grain ballistic tip and either IMR 4831 powder or H4831 powder. I've tried both of those powders with that bullet, and the results have kind of blown me away, right? So go back, watch those videos. Really impressed with the accuracy that we're seeing out of that rifle, given the fact that it is such a budget-oriented package. So what I didn't have a lot of brass left over from my previous load workup with the 150 grain ballistic tip. I had a few pieces of Peterson brass left. It's once fired. And so I had, let's see, 4, so that was 12 plus another 5. I had 17, weird number, but I had 17 pieces of brass left over that had been processed, primed, ready to be loaded. I just didn't really have anything planned for them. And then of course these bullets showed up. So now we're gonna, test them out. And with them being pulled bullets, it depends on what you get from American Reloading. I highly recommend you guys go check them out. Place an order if you want to. Go back, watch. I have a video on that where I really hit a home run on the big order that I placed. I ended up ordering, I think it was like a total of 2,000 bullets from them. By the time it was all said and done, I think I ordered 1,000 in the 277 diameter, 500 in the 308 diameter, and 500 in the 7mm diameter of their premium mix is what they call it. And I got really lucky and had a great order with those guys. So I recommend them just from my experience. Your experience might vary, so just a heads up, right? But with these, and there's varying degrees of pulled bullets that they're selling, and they'll put on the description, hey, heavy pull marks, or, virtually no pull marks, right? Everything looks great, just a blim or whatever, right? Well, they're pulled bullets, they sell them as such, and they do indicate, hey, there are visible pull marks on the bullets. So when you get them and you see all that, right, it is what it is. So what I did was I sorted the bullets. I did not weigh them in terms of weight sorting. They're all 175. They do sell a 168 and 175 mix if you want to go that route, but these were just the 175s. So not the 168 and 175 mix. So you just have to pay attention to that and be careful. But these were the 175s. I did not weight sort them. I did not sort them by length. The only thing I did was I grabbed them out of the pack and evaluated the pull marks. And if I felt some were a little bit more aggressive than others, I just threw them back in the bag, right? I set them to the side and would continue to pull bullets out until I felt like, okay, for the amount that I'm loading up, which is 17, I think I have 17 fairly similar bullets, right, that we can have somewhat of a reliable test here, okay? So did that, and I used, I used Ramshot Magnum powder, CCI number 34 primers. Those are the large rifle, the counterparts to the CCI 41s, the small rifle sort of military primers. These are the large rifle version of that. They're more of a Magnum primer. And they are harder. They are a harder primer. So, and I've covered that in previous videos. Ran into issues with that in an H&R or a New England Firearms handy rifle. Ran into a problem with misfires because the firing pin simply was not strong enough to set those primers off reliably, and had a lot of misfires working up loads using that primer in that particular rifle. I've used that primer now in several loads, several large rifle primer loads in bolt actions, and I've had zero issues, right? So just throwing that out there. But this is what we did. Ramshot Magnum powder started at 69.3, went up to 70.5, jumping 3/10. You could probably jump a little bit higher. Your jumps could be a little bit larger, just given the overall charge weight that we're working with. And loaded them to a length of 3.290. That's the same length that I load the 150s, the Nosler ballistic tip, the 150 grains. They get loaded to 3.290 as well. That's what's listed in the Nosler manual. So that was the load data we went with. These are the results. I know they're only 3-shot groups, so by all means, feel free to comment down below. I encourage you to comment down below about how irrelevant and how pointless 3-shot groups are. I would much appreciate it if you guys would just do that. So feel free, go drop a comment below. Helps me out. But these were the results that we saw. And then as it translates onto the target, right, this was the very first group, and I kind of just worked my way up the target. Again, if you're interested in these targets, very cool. Box to bench precision. I don't use them the way they were intended to be used. There's just a lot of cool stuff on this target, and you can use it for scope tracking and distance to the lands in terms of bullet jump testing and seating depth and all that, and your powder testing and your hot and your cold velocity, and it's, yeah, a lot of really cool stuff. I just needed something to shoot at, so this is what I put up on the target board. That was the first group, so nothing really to write home about. What I am pleased to see though is that the point of impact is not too far off from where the 150s sit, right? If you guys will remember, the 150s are a little bit high and to the left. I mean, not by much though, at all. It's within the realm of perfectly acceptable. Now this one, not so much, but it's within the realm of perfectly acceptable. You know, if we could see a consistent point of impact close to the 150s, then this would be a case where I'd work up a load with both weights and I wouldn't adjust the scope. I'd just leave it as is, because again, as I've mentioned time and time again, you know, the distances that I hunt, it's 200 yards and in. The longest shot I've ever taken on an animal, 185 yards. Shot a doe with a 223 Remington, and she dropped, right? 185 yards across a draw. So yeah, let's see. That was with a Barnes 69 grain match burner. Don't recommend that, but I did it and she dropped. But that's the furthest shot. Other than that, I mean, the rest of them have been, I think the next one would be like 120 yards, maybe 130, if that. And then the rest of them are all within 100 yards, right? So I'm not taking really long shots on game animals. So that's why, again, if we're relatively close on point of impact, it's going to be more than adequate. But you can see the groups here, you know, started off, this one measured 2.35 inches. I don't put a ton of stock in the overall measurement because, again, these are just 3-shot groups. You know, I would like to see them grouping halfway decent and a similar point of impact. That's what I would care more about in this case. But, you know, our point of impact kind of changed slightly and then kicking back out to the right, so that was a little bit weird. This is something where, you know, if you really wanted to go and explore something or take a look at something, right, maybe between here, it wasn't too far off on your point of impact. And you can argue about whether or not these tightened up. Probably not. That's probably just random luck that we had back-to-back groups that were halfway decent. And then even the 70.2 wasn't bad at all. That came in at 1.229 inches, but again, it just shifted to the right. And I did allow plenty of time in between each individual shot for the barrel to cool down. I have noticed with that 770 that it actually, it doesn't necessarily walk, or at least it didn't with the 150s. I didn't really take a lot of time in between each shot and let it cool down with the 150s, the testing that I did. And so the barrel stayed fairly warm throughout a portion of that. And it still, guys, go back and watch the video. I mean, it was stacking them in there, right? Sub 3/4 inch groups, 5-shot groups at 100 yards. So even with a warm barrel, hot barrel in some cases. So I wasn't overly concerned about that, but I didn't necessarily want to get in a position where the barrel was staying hot while I was trying to get this testing done. So try to let it cool in between each shot, decent amount of time, and took my time. Every single shot here with the 7 rim mag, I felt really confident with. So I think we have decent understanding of how these group in this, or how these perform, you know, with this limited sample size testing with Ramshot Magnum. So, but again, the distances that I shoot for a pulled bullet, it's a really good deal. You know, go through it. If I really wanted to get down and squeeze as much accuracy out of these, if I planned to hunt with them, then I would sort the bullets. You know, I would sort the weight and try to narrow in on the weight as much as possible. Same thing for the length, you know, base to ogive, base to tip, the whole nine, right? Like if I was really wanting to hone in on making as good a load as I could with pulled bullets, that would be the route that I would go. Not necessarily interested in that. I just want to kind of take them, hey, if you know, my viewpoint on it is, if you guys order them because they're a good deal, then this is kind of what you could expect. As long as you pull out the ones that are, you know, pretty jacked up in terms of the pull marks, you know, this is the results that I'm seeing, right, out of my Remington 770. So not too bad. Definitely more than adequate. I feel like if you worked up, you dive off into this a little bit more, put in a little more time and effort, come up with a really good load with some pulled bullets, and it's a really good value. So, and pulled bullets too, another good thing about those guys, if you, you know, you get in some brand new brass and you don't want to waste your, you know, new bullets that you just purchased, right, to try to work up a load for those, but you want to fire form the brass, well, pulled bullets are a great way to do that, right? So that's it. That's where we're going to leave it. Again, you know, semi-short video, but don't forget, if you guys need anything reloading related, firearms related, suppressors, optics, whatever, you name it, go check out Mr. Big Guns in Huntsville. That's my #1 recommendation for a place to shop. They just got in a bunch of, I think, large pistol primers the other day. They're getting in more powder, more primers. It seems like on a regular basis now, so double check with those guys before you go anywhere else. Just a great place overall. Go see Matt, talk to those guys down there. They do a great job. But that's it. That's where we're going to leave it. So hope you guys enjoyed it. Y'all follow along for more of the 175 Nosler Accubond long range testing, the pulled bullets. I'm going to test these also in 7mm 08 and just see, you know, we'll put the chronograph to it, and that way you can kind of get a good understanding of if you went on the heavy side of the 7mm world for the 7mm 08 or 7 rim mag. The 175s are on the heavier side for both of those cartridges. And so what you could kind of expect velocity wise, we'll try to push it in 708, see what we can get, see if the accuracy's there, see if it's worth even pursuing. And then on the 7 rim mag, right, what that delta looks like. So if you're interested in the 7mm cartridge, that'll at least give you a couple of options to, I guess, two options to evaluate, right? If it's something you want to go pursue, or if you just want to go do the 7PRC and call it a day, right? All right, that's it. That's where we're going to leave it. Y'all have a good one. Catch you next time.